Hi, hello, and welcome to another daily Elastic Byte. Today we are going to talk about the VPC pairing. So Elastic Cloud supports VPC pairing, and in today's agenda, we'll take a look at the VPC pairing and like what sort of services we support, and we'll also take a look at a demo, and we'll see how it really helps you to connect your resources that are available in a cloud platform to privately to Elastic Cloud deployments via private link service, etc. So Elastic Cloud, as you know, is available on all three major cloud platforms like the GCP, AWS, or Azure. You have these private link services or the VPC services wherein through which you could remotely, privately access your resources that are available between two virtual networks. Elastic Cloud supports all these three services, including the IP filtering that we discussed in previous Elastic Byte session. If you haven't seen it, do watch it as well, because IP filtering is one another important traffic filtering mechanism from a security point of view. Private link is a service that is really popular, and then each cloud platform have a similar version of it. Like AWS has AWS private link through which you could access resources deployed on AWS cloud. Azure has Azure private link, and GCP has private service connect. So Elastic Cloud supports all these three services, and then if you have a deployment on, say, for example, a specific cloud service like Azure, you through Azure private link integration that we have, you could easily access your Elastic Cloud deployments from your virtual resources from your virtual network privately without even touching the public internet space. So in the demo today, what we'll see is we will see a specific resource from Microsoft Azure that is deployed there over private endpoint that we will create, access the Elastic Cloud deployment that is available in the via the private link service. So, like I said, for Elastic Cloud is available around all cloud platforms. I'm just looking at Azure today. Again, even in Azure, there are different regions. So we support whatever the region that we have in the Elastic Cloud. We have a private link service available for that as well. So as long as as and when we have a new region, we will also have a private link service attached to it. So you could go and find out those links in the documentation for what is the specific private link service host name and what are the configuration details that are specifically needed. You could find out that. I'll also show you some things at the same point of time. Like when you're accessing these information, you need to do some steps. That's what we're going to take a look at right now, and then post which we will also go and see a Terraform script. So don't worry, I'm going to drop in that link in the description of this video so that you could go and try it out and come back with questions. So these are the resources that we are going to set up on Azure as well as Elastic Cloud, and we'll also see how you could access the deployment once these resources are set up. Let us quickly go through these steps, and we'll quickly move to the demo side. So on Azure, you need to create a virtual network and then an endpoint, and then link these two. Later, you will also add a private DNS zone, and with the private link service name that I've been telling, right? Like you have for each region, you have a private link service. So that service name you need to add, and then you need to add a type record so that you could route the traffic that is coming via endpoint to that private link service that is available. And then you also have on the Elastic Cloud, you just need to simply use the information that is in your Azure platform or your cloud platform, the endpoint information, and create a traffic filter, then associate that with an ESS deployment so that the public internet access or the general access is cut off, and then only your resources from that particular virtual network is able to access this information. I'll quickly come back to how do you access once we see the Terraform script, and then once we understand what's happening really here. So I already have some sample deployment created on the Elastic Cloud. You could obviously create using this Terraform script as well, because Elastic Cloud also has a Terraform provider. So don't think that it is only available from the UI. You also have an API access that you will do. Let me quickly turn on the day mode so that the site would look a bit brighter. Uh, at this as I said, like you already have this deployment that I have created, and then it is in a specific region, but you could also choose the region and cloud, and then like go forward with whatever traffic filter, etc., available. But this is the Terraform script that I've been talking about, that I'll also share it with you. So here I am using Azure Resource Manager, the provider from HashiCorp itself, the official provider. What I'm trying to do here is like I have a resource group that I'm going to deploy the private endpoint here. Each of them is a resource, like even though it's a simple private endpoint, but all the surrounding things is a resource, and then you need to create that as well. I'm creating a virtual network. See, I'm doing it by our new region, Central India. We recently launched it, and then giving it an address space. And then I'm adding a subnet, and then under the virtual network, and then like also have started to create the private endpoint. uh, Here, the interesting thing that you see is like for the private service connection, I have this resource alias which says that Central India prod 016, and it gives you a big link which says this is the Azure private link service. This is the internal link that is available for each region. If you go back and see the regions as well as the Azure private link service aliases and the private hosted zone domain names for each one of them. Say, for example, if you are looking at Northern Europe, then you have the North Europe Azure private link service. Excuse me. And then you have the private link Northern Europe Azure, the Elastic Cloud private link service alias domain name as well. So using these details, you could configure the private endpoint. So here I'm using that to configure my private endpoint. So yes, it is a manual connection. I'm asking a request message to connect to the private endpoint, because the service advertiser, like the person who is hosting this private service, should allow you to connect, should allow your private service to connect to your deployment that is there. So our support would do the approval part of this particular thing. Take a look at the Terraform plan, and then we'll deploy the required resources. So as you could see, there are 6 resources that we are specifically adding. Let me, without any delay, let me quickly add this. So all the steps that I'm doing here, like are in the Terraform automation script. You could add more steps, like say, for example, I am trying to do only a few in the interest of time. But if you are like, if you want to completely automate it, you could use the Azure RM and also the Elastic Cloud, um the provider, to kind of do end to end fully. I just want to show you the UI part as well as the automation part, so that you are well versed with the entire thing. Also, we have done a Terraform session recently in the daily Elastic Byte session, so do watch it as well. As you could see, we have 6 resources that are added. Let us see what are those resources. Those are added in the Azure cloud platform. So I have the private endpoint because that's what we are looking at. So let us quickly see that we have Elastic Byte endpoint, which says that pending, because the connection needs to be approved. But it has been created with the configuration details. We have created a VNet. We have created a private zone. We have also linked it with the virtual network. So all of that is being done. If you so Here as well, let me show you the private DNS zone. Say, for example, I have actually like through the Terraform script, we have created this private DNS zone, and which has a record, like say a tape record, which points to the virtual endpoint IP that we have created previously. So all of this is auto created. Once it gets approved, you could easily get started connecting to a deployment that is available in the same zone. So in the interest of time, what I have done is like I've already also deployed a approved connection, which is like which also takes like 5 or 6 minutes additionally. So in the interest of time, I'm just showing it to you. um, So I have this Terraform endpoint, which is also created with the same script, but it is in the Northern Europe, and it says approved. And you could also see the link ID specifically for this endpoint. So the important thing that you need to know once this is connected, so you need to notice that what is the grid, a specific grid will be provided for this endpoint that is needed for us to configure the traffic filter side of the things. So I have a deployment readily available in the Northern Europe, Elastic Cloud deployment readily available. You could see I will collect this resource git that is important for me to create the filter, and I will add that in the traffic filter. So let me go to the traffic filters page. You could find it under the feature. Um, Azure, and obviously region is Northern Europe. Um, and I'm talking about private link endpoint, and then let me say resource name needs to be the same resource name. So if you are giving a different resource name, it doesn't work. So you need to give the same resource name, and also the same resource gid, which is like an identifier. So here you could write the name that you could identify specifically, maybe that is very specific to Elasticloud. You could also include it by default, but I'm not doing it at this point of time. So I just added the rule. I did not associate with any other deployment. That's why the filter status is shown as inactive and deployments protected are 0. So now I have obviously two deployments. One is in Central India that I have previously created, and also I have the current Northern Europe one. So what I could do is like I could go to the security and quickly click on the apply filter and select the Azure service, and then apply it to it. But before that, let us quickly go also see whether we could open the Kibana and whether the resource is accessible or not by the public internet. It says loading Elastic, which obviously means that, yeah, the Kibana is loading. So, but let us associate the traffic filter and also try to access it from the. So let us apply initially, and let us see if this is first of all accessible. No, it says it's forbidden if you are not able to read. uh, we could also try to access the the Elasticsearch cluster. So like I said, the next step is to showcase, how do you access this deployment over your private link, because you have private link connected, you have associated a rule, everything is done. So how do you do that? So you have to copy the cluster ID and deployment alias and attach it to the hosted zone domain name that is you have given in the. You have created a private DNS zone, right? You have to associate with that. So for that to be done, you just need to quickly copy that, and then here I am using. I have already created a VM in the VNet. So I have this particular URL constructed for that alias, etc. And it's already there in the Northern Europe. And if I click, it is accessible. The process is same for almost all the three clouds. Here is the GitHub gist that you could go and try out. Thanks for joining the session today. And if you have any doubts, please ask in the comments. I'm happy to help. Thank you.